Hi, everybody. Dennis Prager here for the Fireside Chat with Otto. I just want you to know I have been saying that Otto's fame has not gone to his head, but now I'm not so sure. He decided, just as we were ready to video this Fireside Chat, that he was hungry. And he left everybody. And we sat here waiting for 15 minutes. He kept the whole crew, not to mention myself, waiting while Otto had something to eat. So I just want you to know I am fair about Otto. All the glory that he has achieved is deserved, but just wanted to share with you a little other side of the big O. All right, so you're all familiar with demonstrations in Cuba. By the way, I don't even remember, did I even say my name?
I don't know about
Just said Fireside Chat. I'm Dennis Prager. I do the Fireside Chat every week. This is number
195.
195. We're going to have a big party at 200. We do it every week, and it's just a chance to talk to you unscripted about what's on my mind and then take your questions. By the way, I do get a chance to just look at the questions briefly right before this. If I'm not mistaken, there are questions from folks in Canada, India, Norway, Germany, and Spain, as well as around the U.S., just in that list. That brings me great joy because I have always believed that what I have to say or write is not confined to any one culture or one ethnicity or anything like that. Either ideas are universally applicable, like math, or they're not true. A value needs to be universally good to be a value. Just wanted to add that, why I have such joy at seeing where you folks are around the world. Okay, so you're probably aware of the demonstrations in Cuba, the biggest in decades. An amazing thing to have a demonstration in a communist country. These are lockdown countries. They are totalitarian by nature. How did they even organize? All media are controlled. The phones are tapped. How did they even know to get together? I don't know. I don't know if anyone knows. Maybe some people just decided to do it and others immediately, spontaneously gathered. We don't know, but it's amazing that they did it in the thousands, demanding freedom. Primarily, they were also talking about shortages of food. There are always shortages of food in communist countries. That is the way it works. Virtually every famine, or let's put it this way, every communist country virtually has huge famines. Wherever there is a communist regime, there's a famine. It's incredible. Ukraine and China and Ethiopia, when the communists, the Derg ran that country, it's a phenomenon that communism causes famines. Of course it does, because it has policies that inhibit the production of food. Anyway, I want to read to you the way the New York Times covered it, which was not inaccurate, but I want to show you what is frightening about the situation in America today. So listen to this from the New York Times report. Shouting freedom and other anti-government slogans, thousands of Cubans took to the streets in cities around the country on Sunday. Substitute one word, Americans, for Cubans, and tell me if it would sound bizarre. Shouting freedom and other anti-government slogans, thousands of Americans took to the streets in cities around the country. A little scary, isn't it? I never thought that I would reach a point where I could substitute Americans for people living in communist countries. But that would make perfect sense. Demonstrations in this country for freedom. The suppression of freedom in America is unique in American history. First, in the name of COVID, you can't leave your house. You can't gather with others. You have to wear what we tell you to wear. You can't operate your business. And everybody accepted it. Not everybody, most everybody. They gave up freedom in the name of unscientific things, like your kids can't go to school. That's a deprivation of freedom. And there was no good reason for kids not to go to school. Kids were not getting sick, certainly not seriously sick, let alone dying. But it hurt them terribly not to go to school. Anyway, people gave up their freedom in so many regards. And now the freedom of speech, the most precious freedom of all. Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Google, YouTube. The suppression of dissenting voices in the United States is unprecedented in American history. I would join a demonstration shouting for freedom in the United States. And I've lived a long life, and I have never seen a need to ever have a demonstration in America on behalf of freedom. So what's happening in Cuba is not the same as America, thank God, not yet, but it could get there. It's very sad that really only people terribly deprived of freedom come to value it. People living in freedom don't tend to value it. Maybe it's like the healthy don't value their health. Then they get sick and they really value their health. I don't know if that's true. I think a lot of healthy people value health. But very few free people value freedom. As I've said for many years, the human instinct is to be taken care of, not to be free. People value being taken care of more. Here's another sentence from the New York Times report. Granma, the Cuban Communist newspaper, the Cuban Communist Party newspaper, said in a rare reference to demonstrations, because they would never admit that there are demonstrations, that people who took to the streets on Sunday included government supporters who, quote, may have been confused by disinformation on social media. It's exactly what is said in the United States. If you dissent from the Democratic Party, or you dissent from the left at your university, it's because you've been confused by disinformation or misinformation on social media. They never quite explain what the misinformation is. For the left, all dissent is misinformation. What about the scientists who said that masks were pretty worthless? Take them down, misinformation. What about the scientists who said open up the schools? Misinformation. What about the scientists who said ivermectin is a spectacular prophylactic against COVID and even saves people's lives in great numbers if used early enough? Take them off. But they're all scientists. Misinformation. You don't agree with Dr. Fauci? Misinformation. You're a scientist at one of the leading medical schools in the country? Misinformation. You think that America isn't a systemically racist country? Misinformation. It's not that we differ with you. It's that you're giving misinformation. That is exactly what they said in the Communist Party paper. Just like the New York Times would say, misinformation, so too they do. It's very scary what's happening. It's not over, you just got to fight. But at least be aware of what is happening. What happened in Cuba is not an aberration. It's easy to lose freedom if anti-freedom forces are strong enough, are moving enough. The door opened and Snoopy is making his way into the room and is stopping, however, at the tripod with Nathan, because Nathan is rubbing him at this time. By the way, more and more of you know of Snoopy's existence, which is very touching to my wife and myself. By the way, one more thought before I take your questions. A thought on that situation at the spa in Los Angeles where the woke, that is those who do not think clearly or morally, actually thought it was fine to expose one's male genitalia to girls and women. By the way, it's an amazing thing because until recently throughout American history, that was a crime. Exposing one's penis to people who didn't want to see it was actually a crime. But now it's a right. We've gone from crime to right rapidly. All the person has to say is, I'm a woman. My wife made a brilliant point in this regard. If indeed this were a woman, the person never would have shown her genitalia to the public. This was a man in every way except for public self-identification as a woman. Not to mention a narcissist, selfish, profoundly selfish human being. The protection of little girls' innocence is much more important than this person's right to be naked in front of them. If that's not clear to you, college did a bad job on you. Okie doke. Let's see your questions. All right, here we go. Take it away.
Hello, Mr. Prager. My name is Madison Byron, and this is Sophie joining me, and we are from San Diego, California. My question for you is, what would be your word for 2021 so far? My word for 2021 so far has been hypocrisy. Whether it's been through politics or this recent pandemic, I have just found a lot of things to be very hypocritical. So what would your word be?
What would be my word for 2021? Hers is hypocrisy. Hypocrisy is, I wish hypocrisy were the worst of the problems that we faced. Hypocrisy is when people advocate certain values and say they don't apply to themselves. Not what I would say is the biggest problem, but you are right, it certainly exists tremendously. So I actually don't have as good an answer as you do. I don't have a one word, but because you asked, I'll give you one. Scary. That's, I think, the most honest word I could come up with. And I don't get scared by much. I've spent my life debunking scares. I certainly wasn't scared of COVID and demonstrated that by showing up at rallies unmasked during the time of the lockdown. I never went with a mask unless I had to indoors. I'm not scared of much, but I am scared of the loss of freedom and rationality in my country. That people could argue, the penis issue is a perfect example, that this was a right, that there was a moral right of a person to expose their genitalia to girls and women when they didn't want it exposed, that is somehow a human right. This is inverting logic and morality. Those things are scary indeed. That we are now choosing people by race instead of ignoring race, and that's considered moral. That's upside down. Everything is rendered upside down. Race is irrelevant. Is that clear? Race means nothing. Is that clear? Color means nothing, 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 nothing. It is the least important thing about you, your color. Clear? Am I clear? I think I am. Okay? It's the least important thing about you. The fact that I am white is of no consequence to me and is of no consequence to people of any color who knows me. They know Dennis. They don't know white. Nathan is currently videoing this as he does most. He happens to be black. I find that interesting and unimportant. Okay? Simple as that. And you know what? He finds it interesting and unimportant too. That's the whole point. Because he's healthy. There are a lot of scary things that you're supposed to believe that are sick, just sick, psychologically sick, morally sick. That race is important is pure, undiluted racism. The last people to say that race was important were the Nazis. The American left and the Nazis have the same view of the importance of race. It is indistinguishable. And that's considered moral and progressive. The Ku Klux Klan wants separate dorms for blacks, and the left wants separate dorms for blacks. What's the difference? What is the difference in their moral values, in their outlook on life? So that, and freedom, you differ, you should be suppressed. The last president of the United States does not allow to have a Twitter account because they don't like his views. And that doesn't scare you? That's why I use the word scary. These are very, very unprecedented, scary things in this country. That they're teaching kids how rotten America is from kindergarten, the greatest country ever made. Of course it had slavery. Who didn't have slavery? You don't compare America to utopia. You compare America to other countries, other groups. Every tribe, every country, every nation, every ethnicity had slavery. America abolished it. The question is not who had slaves. The moral question is who abolished slavery. You don't learn that from the left. It's why you are doing a terrible disservice to your family sending your kid to an American school today, unless it's an exceptional school. I'm sorry to say that because it's not easy to start homeschooling. But unless you find a terrific school that actually believes that there are standards that exist for every race, there's a right answer and a wrong answer on questions. It doesn't depend on the race of the student. It depends on the truth of the statement. Joel, 28, in Toronto. What's he doing?
Licking
Licking the air?
everything.
You're the man. You're the man. Don't let it go to your head. Be a good boy. Joel, 28, Toronto. Hi, Dennis. I have noticed that many leftists describe any form of totalitarianism and racism as right-wing. This I've always found foolish, considering every rightist I know believes in limited government, free market capitalism, and disagree with identity politics. Right. Why do you think so many on the left have this mentality? They have to blame everything on the right, or there is no left. Again, truth is not a left-wing value. It's a liberal value. It's a conservative value. It's not a left-wing value. So say 99% of the totalitarianism of the 20th century, the century of totalitarianism, was left-wing. There was one right-wing or one non-left. I won't get into the debate over whether the Nazi means National Socialism, whether the Nazis were left or right. They were neither left nor right. They were a combination of both, and they were primarily racist. So, and racism is not a right or a left issue. Although today the left has in fact embraced racism, but that's another subject that just discussed that. So you've got to ask someone on the left, really? What was the Soviet Union right-wing? Was Communist China right-wing? Was Cambodia right-wing? Was Czechoslovakia right-wing? Poland right-wing? Bulgaria right-wing? East Germany right-wing? Albania right-wing? Cuba right-wing? They were the totalitarian regimes. Name me a right-wing totalitarian regime. You could name me right-wing dictatorships. That's not the same as totalitarian. And if you don't know the difference, it's very sad. It only means you probably went to college and didn't learn it. There's a big difference between dictatorship, which is lousy, and totalitarian, which is life-suppressing. David, 21, Newton, Connecticut. Hi, Dennis. I'm smoking a cigar watching you. You made my day. My question is, what do you think about the FDA trying to ban menthol cigarettes? Why don't they just leave us alone? Why don't they tell us this is dangerous, have a nice day? Okay? By the way, this whole totalitarian movement of controlling people's lives began with tobacco. I live in Southern California, near Burbank, California. Burbank has cigar stores, but it doesn't allow you to smoke inside them. You can't smoke in a cigar store cigars because of secondhand smoke, which is a pretty much gigantic lie that it kills 50,000 Americans a year. It's pretty much a lie. And that's when I started to understand that medical authorities don't tell the truth. They tell what they think works. That's right. That's what they believe. It's okay to lie to people if you get them healthy. That started the trend toward more and more suppression of truth and more control of our lives. Because everybody thought, oh, tobacco is disgusting. And I'm no fan of cigarettes. I know cigarettes kill 1/3 of cigarette smokers. However, adults, why do we allow liquor? Liquor kills a hell of a lot more people. And it kills the innocent far more. Right? Drunk drivers kill thousands and thousands a year. Do smoking drivers kill thousands a year? Do smokers molest children? Or do the drunk molest children? Not all drunk, not all, obviously, people inebriated do that. But most of those who do are high on alcohol, not high on tobacco. But we don't ban alcohol. Why not? Because everybody drinks. So you could bully the smoker, but you couldn't bully the drinker. By the way, I don't even drink. By the way, I'm not against it. I just don't enjoy it. But I'm not saying it on behalf of drinkers. I'm saying it on behalf of truth. Sarah, Norfolk, Virginia. Hello, Dennis, Megan, Otto, and Snoopy. Wow, the list is getting longer. Should add Nathan next time, just for the record. Then you capture everybody in the room. My husband and I dream of becoming parents one day, and as we have found for us, becoming parents is easier said than done. We have strongly been considering adoption/foster care, and we're wondering if you have any advice for couples looking to adopt. We love your fireside chats and listen to it weekly with our mini pig, Hamlet. That is moving. Hi, Hamlet. Yes, advice for couples looking to adopt. Well, as it happens, I have 2 children, 2 sons. One is biological and one is adopted at birth. And as I have said from the beginning, there is no difference to me. I don't care about blood. I don't care about genes. I care about values. I want to pass on my values, not my seed. So I am a big encourager of adoption. And it's not easy these days because in the past, women who did not want to have the baby that they were carrying, way in the past, even before I was born, it was very uncommon to have an abortion. Generally speaking, they did not keep the child, and so there were people waiting to adopt. There are far more couples who want to adopt than there are babies available in the United States. I'm talking newborns. So good luck if you try. As I said, I'm a big encourager. You should watch my fireside chat number 173. I discuss adoption at length. Natalie, 25, Germany. Hi, Dennis. Which values were the most important for your personal development? Did you focus on any specifically, and did they change throughout the years? Well, I talk about my values very often. Which values were the most important for your personal development? Well, I think in a nutshell, I knew that I had to fight my own nature. That was probably the single biggest lesson. In a Jewish or Christian environment, you are taught that the biggest problem in your life is you. In a secular school, you are taught that the biggest problem in your life is your society, your country, or your parents. Big difference. Knowing that I had to fight my nature was a very big deal in making me the person that I became. There were many others. I'm a big fan of the 10 Commandments. The idea that God told me what to do is a big deal. And I carry that with me to this day. John, 35, Barcelona, Spain. Dear Mr. Prager, I'm an American raised in Savannah, Georgia, now live in Barcelona. My wife and I have a 2-year-old son. and we are happy raising him here in Spain. I've become more appreciative of the U.S. since living outside of it. No kidding. One thing is clearly missing here in Europe, and that's the religious, spiritual upbringing that I had as a child. I would like to know your thoughts about how I can teach my 2-year-old son about God and the Bible. I've been searching for some books. He loves books already. What would you recommend? Thanks for your wisdom. Thank you for your compliment. Well, even in secular Spain, which is ironic since it was so Catholic throughout its history, but even in secular Spain or secular Western Europe generally, there still are churches that operate. And I don't know if you're Protestant or Catholic, but in terms of giving your child a religious experience on Sunday, experiences matter. Synagogue played a very important role in my life growing up, that once a week, whether I liked it or not, and I didn't always like it, I did go to synagogue. It was very formative in my life. And it could be the church, whether Catholic or Protestant, in your child's life. I don't know of great Bible books for 2-year-olds, but they exist. And they shouldn't be difficult to find on the internet. In the meantime, as soon as your child is a little older and can understand stories and even concepts, it's you translate into 5-year-old language what you believe. That's your job. I think my own Bible commentary, The Rational Bible, almost 3 volumes, 3rd volume coming out momentarily, will be a tremendous help in clarifying the Bible for you and for your children. And clearly there are other sources. But you're doing the right thing. A child that grows up without God or the Bible is like a child that grows up with no music, art, or foreign language. I mean, you could develop it fine, right? Without any music, without any art, without learning a foreign language, you can develop fine. But you're bereft of some of the greatest richness of history, of the world. That's how I feel if a child grows up with no religion, God, or Bible. He just gets up and leaves. Is he scratching at the door? Yeah. Nathan's been very busy today. First letting Snoopy in, now letting Otto out. Folks, he left just as at time, isn't that right?
Yes.
How ironic. He gets paid by the minute. and that's it. He felt it was 30 minutes. I'm out of here.
He was right.
And he was right. Okay. He's got a union contract. I got other great questions here. We'll try to get to them next week. Thank you for watching. I'm Dennis Prager from my home to yours. Bless you. Thank you for watching this video. To keep PragerU videos free, please consider making a tax-deductible donation.